Hey everybody, welcome to the next episode of ERT. My name is Derrick.
And I'm Kara.
So, there's a few things that's happened recently, and I think we're just going to jump right into it. So, the biggest story, it's been going on now, probably by the time this video drops, it's probably about a week or almost 2 weeks old. But unfortunately, over at Kings Island, somebody entered into the restricted area on Banshee, and allegedly it sounds like they got hit by the train, and then allegedly still it sounds like the person passed away. This might have been confirmed, but information as of recording has still been kind of iffy, I guess you could say.
The park hasn't made any official announcement.
There's been no official announcement on this whole thing. And like I say, allegedly across the board, because they still haven't even officially confirmed that the person was hit by the train, even though it seems that's most likely probably what happened. But nonetheless, very tragic situation happening over there at Kings Island. And which kind of wanted me to bring up to a certain point. I see a lot of people posting on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, X. A lot of varying opinions. Some people being a little bit more harsh. Some people being, I guess, on the complete opposite spectrum. For me, I think as coaster enthusiasts, we all kind of approach this like, well, obviously, you shouldn't be going into the restricted area. But then you kind of start thinking about from outside of that perspective, people who really don't know what they're getting themselves into. They think like, oh, yeah, the track is high enough, like, I'll be fine or whatever. And they don't realize like, oh, like that train really does kind of swing down a little bit lower from that track than you realize.
Well, on Banshee, obviously, it's an inverted coaster, so the whole train falls below the track. It doesn't sit on top.
Which I guess I make that clear. Yes, Banshee is an inverted roller coaster, so the assumption is the person was walking underneath the track, and when the train came by, it hit the person. This isn't the first time this kind of scenario has happened. That happened over at Raptor at Cedar Point a few years back. A guy was trying to retrieve his cell phone. It's also happened at Batman the Ride at Six Flags Over Georgia. That's probably the most notorious newsworthy story of this kind of scenario happening there, because it was a younger kid that ended up losing his life. He was, from what I understand, he was trying to get a quick cut back into the park and or retrieving a hat, one or the other. But it kind of brings me to my point I wanted to say is it worth it? And by that, I mean the silly little things that we do, regardless of what we're talking about, like roller coasters or even outside of the park, we make these rash decisions that we don't really think much about, which can also cost your life. So in this scenario, was it really worth risking your life to go retrieve your keys, your cell phone, your wallet, your hat? All that stuff is replaceable. It might seem devastating at the moment, which is why sometimes we have to take a step back and gather perspective on these kind of scenarios. And I kind of branch it outside of the park too, why I say, is it worth it? Because I think we do this too in like driving, like that guy in front of you is going too slow, so you're going to gun it, try to swing right around or try to, punch you right there at the yellow to get through the red light. Certain things that we kind of feel are like, oh, it's still innocent. But in the end, it could actually end up costing your life or somebody else's life, which unfortunately I have seen happen in the people making rash decisions in automobiles. So I guess when I see these kind of situations, I don't approach it because I know some people are like, oh, Darwin Award, or, person, obviously they're so dumb. And I just kind of I think we kind of need to take a step back, get a different perspective, see it through somebody else's eyes, and which makes me kind of wonder, even when it comes to park, maybe sometimes I know people get frustrated. You lose something and then they expect everything to shut down for them right away. And that's when we kind of start making these, rash decisions. Mm-hmm. So back to safety. If anything I'm getting out of here to say is be mindful when you're at a park. Is it worth it taking that cell phone into the queue? Should you just leave it in in the locker? Yeah, you'll have to pay a couple dollars to put it in the locker, but guess what? If it's in the locker, you don't have to worry about losing it on the ride, and thus worrying about contemplating losing your life by jumping into a restricted area to go retrieve it. So let alone, let's say if you are successful and nothing happens to you, you could still get caught and then get kicked out of the park for the rest of your life, because that's most likely what they're going to do. So again, as I keep saying, is it worth it? Sometimes
it's a restricted area for a reason.
Exactly. Read the signs. It's not worth it. Put your stuff in a locker. Again, put your stuff in the little cubbies in the station.
Does
Some rides
Banshee have... Think about the station.
I'm pretty sure Banshee does, because most inverted roller coasters at least have like those shoe cubbies for the ride.
This is true. Yeah, a lot. I mean, a lot of coasters do have something in the station where you can put your souvenir cup, you can put your hat, you can put whatever, your phone.
If you have to use the cubby, I know a lot of us like, oh, I don't want to leave my cell phone there. I don't know the statistics on this. I was actually wanting to look it up.
This would be very interesting.
But I've yet to hear of people actually getting their wallet, keys, or cell phone, anything getting stolen in those cubbies. Most of the time, it's not the park's responsibility to watch it.
No.
But that's why I say if it's truly that valuable, just put it in a locker. Yes, you won't have it with you in the queue, but by and far, most of the roller coasters that you're waiting in line for, you will survive the maximum of an hour. I know sometimes it could be 2 hours, 3 hours, different scenarios, but I'm sure waiting for Banshee at Kings Island wasn't more than an hour. I couldn't imagine it was more than an hour. Max 90 minutes if the park was slammed. But I believe this was during the weekday. So, yeah, just put it in a locker. I know it's in a little extra step. It seems inconvenient, which again, that's kind of the whole point. We make these rash decisions over something that saves us like 20, 30 seconds. And those rash decisions, which we think are innocent, actually can end up costing your life. So just think about it. Spread the word. Be safe at theme parks. Just think, read the signs.
Follow the rules.
Same thing. Is it worth it? Is it worth it fiddling? I don't want to say word fiddling, but like trying to make sure you have a maximum amount of space in your lap bar. Like I know some people almost seem to like fight with the ride operator. Let them do their job. I'm sorry if they do staple you. Guess what? The ride will still be enjoyable. But be safe, be smart, think about the decisions that you're making. I don't know. Do you have anything else to say on that?
I mean, I just think you were talking about the decisions that you make while driving. And I was thinking as a photographer, a lot of times people have this idea that they want to shoot on like train tracks.
Oh, yeah.
And obviously, I've shot 2 weddings this season at a train station, and there are active train tracks, and there are signs everywhere that say like you can't go out on the tracks, whatever. But people think, well, I'll hear the train. I'm sure the guy was thinking the same thing with the coaster. He was thinking, I'll hear it coming,
or I'll see it coming,
or I'll see it, or whatever. And so people think the same thing when it comes to trains. And when it comes to trains, people get this weird idea that it's amazing to take photos on train tracks, and it's not. But there have been news stories about photographers who go out on train tracks and they think it'll be fine, and tragic events occur. It's just not worth it. Every time that I've, like the 2 weddings that I've been at a train station at this year, I'm like, we got to stay far away from the tracks, guys. And we have seen trains come through while taking photos, which is a lot of fun, but you truly can't even hear them until they're right there on top of you, which is mind-blowing because it's this huge thing roaring down the tracks.
Yes, it's completely quiet before it gets there, and then it's completely deafening once it's going by. And as soon as it passes, it's like it was never there. Instant quiet. So,
and I'm assuming roller coaster trains are very much the same.
Yeah, definitely depending on where you're standing. You think you might hear it. You think you might know better. I'll be quicker. I know what I'm doing. I can pay attention. When you're breaking the rules, the rules are there for a reason. Even if you think that I know what I'm doing, guess what? You very well might not.
Well, and if your attention, like there's studies, I've seen videos people have done about studies, so like your attention is diverted because you're looking for something. And so you're not paying attention to things that are happening around you. You know you're in an area where you shouldn't be, and your attention is diverted because either you're taking a photo of like a person on train tracks or something like that. And that's when something happens and your brain can't function like multitask to catch whatever is coming, which is just tragic.
Yeah. So long story short, be safe at the parks. Don't take chances. If you're concerned about losing, let's put it this way. If you're comfortable with losing it on the ride, then let it go with you. But if you're not comfortable that you could lose it on that ride, do not take it with you onto the ride. Period.
I'm shocked.
Even if you think that you have your zippered pockets, same thing with me. Sometimes I'll do it, but I have that choice, like realizing, you know what? Do I really need to bring this with me onto this ride? Can I just leave it in a locker?
I'm always shocked by the amount of things that people bring in their pockets on rides.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the amount of stuff that you see people like shoving down into their pockets as they're getting onto a ride, it just blows my mind because I'm like, guys, it's not worth it.
Yeah, because pretty much every one of these scenarios where it's somebody who enters into a restricted zone, it wasn't just because they're like, oh, let's go in the restricted zone. It's because, oh, I lost my hat. I can get it really quick. I lost my cell phone. I can get it really quick. Or I guess allegedly this last scenario with Banshee was his keys. But again, like I keep saying allegedly because nothing's set in stone. I'm not going to quote.
It's just all speculation.
Exactly. We know the incident occurred, but to full extent of what actually happened, we don't know until that's fully released. But nonetheless, be safe. Be smart. Even if it costs you a couple minutes, it's only a couple minutes. Same thing as I said with a car. 9 out of 10 times somebody like goes crazy and wants to pass you and they pass you, they ended up turning off like on the next road like a mile up ahead. Like, okay, that's saved again, 5-10 seconds. It's not worth it. It really isn't. We need to be a little bit more patient. As coaster enthusiasts, we need to be more impatient, especially with a lot. We complain about waiting in lines, but guess what? That's kind of part of being a coaster enthusiast is you're waiting in lines. And if you really, really don't want to wait in the line, get the quick skip the line pass or whatever.
Yes, pay the money.
Yeah.
And don't complain.
So enough on that topic. So speaking of queues, since we're talking about skipping the line.
Well, that's a good segue.
Yeah, I always try to be great with segues. Just kidding, not really. So Six Flags Great America. They just opened, I'm sorry, is it called, it's their new Giant Discovery, Zamperla Giant Discovery. It's their pendulum swing. I'm sorry, it's complete, because for once it's actually not like, Harley Quinn or the Joker or something. It's a completely new name.
Wonder Woman.
And I'll put it up in the text below. I had it in my head like 5 minutes ago, and now it's completely blank. But
Does it start with
nonetheless,
an S? I don't know.
I think so. It's like it's not Skyhawk or something, but something
matter.
like that. Like
Anyways.
I said, we can't think of it. Mine's going blank. But nonetheless, brand new attraction finally opened, and the park is utilizing a reservation system. This is at Six Flags Great America.
Yes.
So how
does the reservation system work?
yes, from what I can understand is you have to go to the entrance of this attraction. I don't know if they give you a card or something, but that's where you get signed up for the reservation for your virtual queue. And then, again, it didn't fully say on the website, but I'm assuming they tell you a time to come back, and then you can get on the ride. They are only doing this one per guest per day, which is, again, a little puzzling because I said, I don't know how crazy busy Six Flags Great America can get. But these attractions, according to Zamperla's website, say they have about 600, they can handle about 600 passengers an hour, which is not too shabby. It's not the best. It's definitely not the worst. However, that's going off of like optimal operations. So if we look at 5 to 7 minutes, we're looking more closer to like 400 to 500 guests an hour. But I guess what puzzles me with this whole reservation system, Six Flags has operated roller coasters, brand new attractions for the past many years, brand new rides that they open up that have worse capacity than this. Like those 40 free spin roller coasters. I can't think of it as off the top of my head, but I think they max out at like 400 riders an hour, and that's like doing optimal. So same thing with, was it Jersey Devil Coaster?
That was the one I was thinking of. Jersey Devil Coaster. What's its capacity? Do you
Again,
know
it's something around in that same neighborhood of the 5 to 600. It might try to push a little bit higher, but we're talking about that's like going optimal performance to get that.
Yeah.
So kind of interesting to see. I don't know how I feel about it. It seems like, I know I saw jokes, people saying like, what do they think, they're Disney? Also at the same time, I'm always interested in seeing a park trying something new. Maybe it will help make the operations, the ride time for that ride a little bit more efficient. But I don't know. What do you think?
Okay, can you use a fast lane? Like, can you use a fast pass at all? when
For
I
this
looked ride?
attraction, or if it's only this virtual, I do not know. I don't know if you can buy the single skip the line or it's part of their Flash Pass. I'm not really sure.
That's what it is at Six Flags.
Yeah.
I forgot. I was just curious. I didn't
Well,
know
at
if
least
it said
until
anything.
July 1st. I mean, it's probably still be Flash Pass, but
Yeah. It's just interesting because it's just a flat ride. Like,
yeah.
is it really that? Are people really that excited to ride these things?
Well, these giant Discovery pendulum swings are very popular. A lot of the Six Flags parks have been getting them. They usually do end up becoming one of like the main headlining attractions at these parks.
Like more than the roller coasters? Really?
I mean, you see it. You got Black Widow at Kennywood, and that ride always seems to have a pretty decent line.
It is.
They don't have the best operations.
They have terrible operations.
They hold, like I said, the giant one that I believe they have holds 40 passengers. So, and I'm not sure what the one at Kennywood holds. It might be 32. But even still, I mean, that's quite a lot of passengers.
It takes a long time to load and unload, though.
Yes, it does, especially with like waiting for the floor to rise up or to drop.
Well, I feel like, especially at Kennywood, there's they check multiple times. Like the ride ops walk around. They're not only checking the restraints, but they're looking at people and looking at whether they have glasses on, whether they have hats on, what kind of shoes are they wearing. And there are multiple rounds of looking at, like, they will literally walk up to you and like look at you up and down. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
But they're literally looking for people with loose shoes or things that might fly off on this ride. So, I mean, it's good. It's something that has to happen, but it does take a long time. Is the ride, this particular ride at Six Flags Great America, is it the same model or the similar model as Black Widow? Or does it go all the way upside down?
No, it's a similar model. None of these go upside down. These are the giant Discoveries. The Black Widow, I believe it was like the original prototype version of it.
Okay.
And then from there, it's been tweaked and enhanced. Some of them got a little bit bigger. I think that one is called the Giga Discovery, which is I don't know if this one falls into that category. It's still called the Giant Discovery. Nonetheless, they're all the same. The giant pendulum swings. Six Flags really has a lot of the Zamperla. The Cedar Fair Park seemed to have, I think it's the Huss model. Like it was at the Max Air over there at Cedar Point by Gatekeeper. They're all same concept.
They all do the same thing.
Yeah. Swing back and forth. They give you some fun airtime as you rotate. So
the question though is, so they're trying out this reservation system, obviously in an attempt to cut the line down. So they don't want the line to be, 2-3 hours to ride this ride.
Yeah, I guess so.
So, I mean, you assume anyways. So you try out this reservation system. We've seen this play out. Like back in 2020, we saw parks trying reservations. We saw them trying virtual queues. We saw them trying, like, you go get a card and then you come back at that certain time, which is kind of like a reservation.
And people still just want to wait in line. Like, they just want to get on the ride. So, I mean, obviously you have Volcano Bay has their virtual queue system. Disney, Universal, not as much Universal as much as Disney does. They have their virtual queue with Guardians of the Galaxy, Tron, and I don't know if the Tiana's Bayou is doing the same virtual queue or not. I'm not
because
sure.
I thought that was something that they were doing with like new attractions, just because obviously people want to ride the new things.
Disney was a little bit more efficient that you just simply log in at 7 a.m. to get into your virtual queue for the ride, as versus this one, they're saying you have to walk to that attraction to get that to get signed up for that virtual queue on that attraction. And I'm assuming it'll tell you what time you can come back. And again, though, like if it's not a busy day, though, are they just not going to send the ride because only 5 people are set for that time? Like, I just don't, like I said, that's to me, I don't really know the full capacity, like how busy Six Flags Great America is on a daily basis. But I feel like they might have some days where it's a little bit slower and maybe that line doesn't demand a virtual queue. So that's why I'm just kind of curious.
I'm curious to see if they feel it's successful. Will they continue? Will they push this into other things, like other big attractions in the park?
Yes, and it kind of makes me worried too, because again, this whole virtual queue, they're saying you only pretty much what they're saying on the website is if you want to ride this attraction, you can get on it once. And they're not guaranteeing that you're going to get on it, but they're saying you can sign up once a day and that's it. And that's the only way you can get on the ride.
Yeah.
So if they bring that over to some of the roller coasters, are they saying you can only ride that roller coaster once? which would be pretty disappointing. I mean, obviously, us as coaster enthusiasts, you might go to a brand new park and you really like that roller coaster, and you're like, well, now I need to get like the back row experience or the front row experience, especially for me if I'm going to like do a review. Now you're saying I'm only allowed to ride it once, unless I guess I come back the next day or something. I don't know. Strange nonetheless. I'm not really, like I said, not really sure the reasoning of why they're pushing this virtual, or if this is just something that they're testing out. And especially so, why testing out this whole new thing we're talking like within days of the merger that's supposed to be going through. I believe it's still set for July 1st.
Do you think anything will actually change on July 1st? Or do you think we'll actually see like announcements? Do you think we'll see?
I think so. I think they're going to make a big deal about it. I don't know how big of an announcement we'll get right off the bat, or like announcing new attractions or anything like that. No, I don't think we'll have any ideas of like, oh, like maybe a new season pass, all that stuff yet. But
see, because that's what we want to know.
Yeah,
we want to know how the season pass
back to the main
works.
point, this virtual queue, very interesting. I don't know if they're testing it out, why they're doing this. Maybe they just have a very short queue in that area, and then the only way they could manage having a larger crowd is by just doing this. I don't know. Because, I mean, we have seen that with certain rides where they build this brand new attraction, and then the queue that they make is really small.
Really short.
And then it's got to wrap around all through the park or something. So that could maybe something weird. Maybe that's part of the scenario. I have no idea.
Interesting, nonetheless. And we'll see what happens. We'll see if other parks adapt the same trial and we'll see what happens.
So on that note, though, we're rolling into, I know the coaster season has been going on for at least a couple months now. We haven't really hit our heavy traveling season yet, which is pretty much coming around the corner. So on that note, we will be taking a temporary break from ERT, probably for like the next couple months or so. We might drop a video sporadically, I don't know, depending on what happens. And then we'll return fresh with season 3. So this will wrap up our season 2. We appreciate everybody who's been watching this and participating with this channel. And I don't know, do you have anything else to say?
Nope.
Nope.
I don't think so.
And on that note, that wraps up the season with a note.
No. We have plans coming up like through July and August, and then even into September and into the fall. We have a lot of things planned out. Normally we do our big trip
Early in the
spring to kind of kick off our year. And we flipped it this year, and we're going away at the end of summer, which is kind of good, kind of bad. It's kind of left us like wanting it to be the end of the summer, but also not wanting it to be the end of summer.
But we're going to do some smaller trips in between. We're going to go to Kings Island. We're going to go over to Six Flags Great Adventure.
Eventually we will get to Dorney.
Yeah, we will get over to Dorney Park.
Someday.
We will go back to Cedar Point again, because I would like to get some more rides on Top Thrill 2. Hopefully, if it opens this year, which, I mean, really hoping that it opens back up again. And then obviously we'll be working our way down to Florida. We'll hit up Carowinds as well. We really enjoy that park. And yeah, just taking it from there. So thank you all again for watching. And this is X Scream Thrills.
Bye.